I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. As far as the agenda goes, one thing to be removed is 8.06. We're still waiting for some information from the architect, but otherwise, I don't know of any changes.
I move that we approve the agenda minus 8.06.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have an agenda. Item number 3, Superintendent's Report. Mr. Jesse.
Thank you, Board President Wiehlander, other board directors, student representatives, community members, staff, and parents and guardians. I'll start off. Last week, paid a visit to the Early Learning Center. So that is located right a little bit between here and OMS. It was a great visit. Spent most of my time actually with related services. So a lot of speech language pathologists, PT and OT, and as well as school psychologists. It was nice to talk about how we work through a process of identifying students for special education services and the services we render for them. A lot of early intervention goes on at our Early Learning Center. Some people don't know, but we are responsible for students starting all the way at as early as birth, about identification and some of the supports for them. So it was great to hear, and some outstanding services, and they're doing such a good job that they actually host a lot of interns from colleges, so aspiring physical therapists, occupational therapists, and especially speech language pathologists. So that was some of the innovative work they're doing to supporting our students. Again, a lot of it's early intervening. A lot of research says if you can provide these related services for our students, they're a lot more likely to work out of requiring those services and obviously have access and opportunity for the rest of their educational career in public education. So it was really aspiring, and I want to thank the folks at the Early Learning Center, again, for hosting me. I always love going out there and seeing all the wonderful things, and just you can't get lost with a lot of energy for those 3, 4, and 5-year-olds that are running around and having a really good time, and some of their, especially some of the way they socially interact and are building their social skills as well. So thank you to them. My other item is that tonight we are going to have a resolution in front of the board that is going to announce a reduction in force. It's a very unfortunate event. As a superintendent of this district, as an educator, I think the thing that we have to really remember is that we are here to do the best we can to support our students, and we have to operate with the monies that we receive from the state. Out of the district's $83 million budget, half of that is for what they call basic education. That's basically saying that we can educate the 4,400 students we can with $40 million. That includes your classroom teachers, your counselors, your office professionals, your substitutes, your paraeducators, busing, power, water, maintenance, and educational supplies. And maintenance. So if you're doing all those things, and that's supposed to be done with 40 million, that is just not enough to provide what I consider a basic education for our students, and I don't think that's the same thing that our staff and our families expect as well. We don't get any money for mental health. I receive that information all the time. How can we help our students with their mental health and the support for them? The state doesn't provide us those dollars. We do provide that for our students. We have 3 specific mental health workers that support them, but we have to dig that out of our own budget. So I will be fighting to get more money for the district because, again, the monies they give to us for these services is just not enough. And so for that, we are going to have to make a reduction in a cost in order to meet our basic requirement as required by the state to end with a positive fund balance. We've made cuts in supplies, services, and other staff furthest from services from students, but now we must, unfortunately, here mid-year to make some additional reductions for those staff that are inside of our schools. By moving quickly, I think covering this particular deficit will help us move as fast as possible. We have currently a 2.3 million deficit, it does need to shore up again by the end by making all of the cuts that we've already made in addition to the reduction of force that will allow us to get those. This reduction of force is a one-time event. There will not be an additional reduction in force for the 24-25 school year for us. We do believe that with this, and in addition to the other activities that we have made, we will get to, again, a positive general fund savings. Lastly, for those specifics, for the staff that are specifically impacted by this reduction in force, there will be an individualized process over the next couple days that will help and assist those who do need employment services or have to move to a new position. So we do have a number of staff that will be impacted. They will be asked to or can elect to go into another open position here within the district. So with that, that will conclude my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, item number 4, a presentation from the choice students.
Superintendent Jesse, Board Chair Wiehlander, directors. My name is Vernon Bruni. I'm the principal at Choice, and I want to introduce you to Aaliyah Fox, who is a 9th grader this year, but has been at Choice since 7th grade, and he's a 2-time elected treasurer of our ASB, and he's one of our, he's been in the leadership class since he was in 7th grade. He's one of our, I'll say, most active and impressive young leaders. So he's here to talk to you about winter celebration.
Hello everybody, my name is Aaliyah Fox. I'm the student body treasurer and a choice enthusiast. And tonight I'll be your friendly festival recap guide. If you've ever wondered what makes Choice so special, well, let me tell you about our winter celebration. It all started back in 2001 when Choice students, guided by the legendary Stacy Anderson, decided our community needed a space where everyone felt welcome. Some of our students were already parents themselves and wanted a celebration for their young families and the whole Choice community. They pulled together donations, whipped up a full ham dinner with everything included, organized activities for kids, and even got Santa to show up with presents for every child. That first event was a hit, and we've been celebrating every year since the pandemic because, the pandemic. Fast forward to now, and the winter celebration has evolved, but the heart of it remains the same. Choice students running the show and giving back. This year, we teamed up with Shelton's Newcomers program and the Student and Family Support Center to make it even bigger. We had face painting, wreath making, cookie decorating, crafts, hot dogs, a Grinch room, prize giveaways, and of course, pictures with Santa. But here's the kicker. The whole thing was planned, ran, and cleaned up by students. We even broke down Santa's sleigh and packed it away for next year because at Choice, we don't just celebrate, we take care of each other. This isn't about a party, it's about creating something bigger than ourselves. That's the power of Choice students. We care, we show up, and we make magic happen together. Thank you.
No, really, thank you.
Any questions or anything?
Any questions from the board?
That was a great presentation. Thank you. You did a great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can you just share what was your favorite highlight from the celebration, or a highlight for you?
I gotta say the pictures of Santa, we're looking at revising how we do it, but overall it's been like the premise of the event since it started in 2001, and I think it really just kind of brings that Christmas spirit and holiday spirit to everyone who wants to attend.
All right, well, as good as you speak as a freshman, I expect you to be quite the orator by the time you're a senior. Thank you.
Thank you guys for your time.
Okay, item number 5, community comment. As part of the regular school board meeting, the board welcomes community members to make public comments in person and/or by phone as conditions allow. Please see the full script with the call-in instructions and guidelines for community comments displayed on the screen above. First up will be Nikki Kennedy.
So first off, I want to start by thanking the teachers and the school staff for putting up and trying their best with what they have to work with. My daughter, Ava McKern, goes or used to go to OBJH until I pulled her out, and I will be explaining why here in a minute. In the state of Washington, the RCW 28A600.480 has the effect of substantially interfering with a student's education, and this is what should not be happening. It's so severe, persistent, and pervasive that it creates an intimidating or threatening educational environment, has the effect of substantially disturbing the ordinary operations of the school. Teachers who have witnessed harassment are mandated to make that report. A lot of them have not. They have reported maybe 2 of my daughter's incidences of these kids, and there is a lot more. I wanted to make aware of the suicidal statistics of how many children commit suicide due to bullying. 10 out of 24 a week commit suicide because of bullying. My daughter, from day one, has been bullied, harassed, and intimidated to the point where she is threatening suicide, cutting herself, and crying, not wanting to go to school. Teachers seen and heard what was happening and reported, like I said, 2 of the many complaints of the bullying. On 12/7, I went to the school to do some supervising. Not only did I see kids cussing, fighting, wearing skimpy clothes, teachers did nothing. This is not a college, this is a middle school. Not even 2 hours into me being there, and I quote, "I was called a fucking bitch." And this was by my daughter's bullies. Your steps to take care of this problem, I feel, what I've read is too long and can cause serious consequences for not only the victim, but the district. I called and left you guys a message in September about my daughter getting bullied, threatening suicide, and cutting herself, and not once did I receive a phone call from anybody. There needs to be starting to hold these kids accountable instead of your long process that obviously does not work, but only continues to allow them to act out more, if not worse. I guess that was my bell.
I'm sorry about that. James Phipps.
How are you guys? It's been a while since I've been here, since the last football season and the coaching incident that happened, and then everything that proceeded after that, which I thought was I think we all thought was in a very positive manner with the 2 coaches and everything. We went to the interim coach, had a good season. The boys had an enjoyable time. From what I've heard, it's been open. They're supposed to make a decision this month. I just wanted to bring light to one of the 2 gentlemen that was here before, that a lot of the parents listened to, a lot of the parents had positive outlooks on, and we were excited. It was somebody who was from here, they want to be here. They went and coached at a different school, had an undefeated season, had a very successful season, had a lot of support from those parents from everything that I saw on social media, everything that I heard from parents that I knew that are part of that school. I just really want to make sure he does not go unnoticed. I want to make sure he doesn't slip through the cracks. His name's Kerry Nagel. And the boys liked him, the parents liked him, and I just want to make sure that he gets noticed. And I feel like it's going to be a very big miss if we don't really give him the time of day and really look at his background and his credentials and what he's done. We got told that he wasn't a fit for Shelton. He wasn't good enough. whatever it was. We didn't get a solid answer, but he was able to go to a completely another school, and he was successful. I feel that he could be extremely successful here with our boys, with our program, with the parents, with the community, because he's from here and he wants to be here. He's stated that in his statement when he talked to us parents, that he wants to retire from here. So he has the passion to be here at this school and be here for these boys. And I really feel like that's what they need right now with everything that's gone on. And I think the community is behind this gentleman, and the boys are as well. So I just really want you guys to maybe just take a light and look at that and just see what it looks like. I just wanted to bring some light to it. So I appreciate the time, you guys.
Dean Jewett?
So let's get right to it. Let's talk about Article 12.01, which is our superintendent's mid-year review. Let's make sure that we're all on the same board when we go back into the executive session. We got multiple lawsuits, sexual, pedophilia, football, lawsuits, all kinds of things going on there. As you've already heard from the other gal, we got bullying, which is rampant. Culture of any organization is top down. Who's at the top? Our illustrious superintendent. Buses. We have buses leaving kids at the side of the road, dropping them off. We don't know. The bus garage calls, doesn't call. I mean, again, who's at the top of the food chain? The illustrious superintendent. We hired a financial administration position from a district that had a $7 million deficit. Wow, great job. We only had a $2.3 million. What's he going to do? We're borrowing funds from the Mason County to make payroll, and then we blame it on food, taxes, supplies, power. You ever thought that it might be enrollment? I wonder why people don't want to be enrolled in the Shelton School District. Again, where's the culture thing? Remember? Wyeth Jesse. Okay? Let's talk about your annual report. You got this annual report that you sent out. A 17% point increase in the number of third graders meeting grade level or ELA standards. We got a 71% reduction in our disciplinary rate in the same period. Think anybody could twist that a little bit? Maybe if you don't report the discipline, or maybe if you don't hold them accountable, maybe you get that 71%. Wow, crazy, huh? You think that any of these increases on the reading or anything has to do with coming out of the COVID? How did that COVID thing work when you sent down all the Chromebooks? How many Chromebooks did we get back? Anybody tell me that one? Okay. We have some information. I don't know if you guys watch social media at all or not, but we had a prior board member, that talked about some of this stuff. You guys, this is coming from the inside out. So you really, really need to look at each other when you do Wyeth Jesse's midterm review. I think the 6% that you gave him and the other 6% that you gave him and his total salary should be taken out. He should do this job for free and give that back to the teachers. The teachers and the paraeducators are student-facing, not the over-bloated administration. Thank you. Have a great day.
Maria Littleson? Maria Littleson?
All right, I'm going to do my best to articulate and stay on track and try not to become emotional. I am here tonight. I'm a president of our Indian Ed Parent Advisory Committee. But first of all, I am a parent of 2 children here at Mountain View, Ruthie Littleson and Pride Littleson. And Pride is part of our special education program here. And I wanted to come and make sure that there was a voice in the room that told you guys what it's like for us as families at home and how much this staff means to us and how much us parents rely on them over the years to help us build the most independent young humans that we can. And these people are not just passionate about their work. You cannot find them just anywhere. These are folks that are irreplaceable. And I realize, as a Skokomish descendant, I've been taught that our leaders make tough choices for us every day, and that our job is to support them and pray for them and hope that they can make the best decisions for us. And even one cut feels like too much when I think about how far my son has come. He's nonverbal, he's 10 years old, he's 130 pounds. And Pride has friends, he's been mainstreamed, he has a one-on-one. He goes out to recess and the kids do their best to be peer support, but I know that the recess staff is imperative to safety for my student. I know that every time a levy comes up in this town, for me it's like PTSD, and I feel sick until I know that my student is going to be supported. And so I do find myself standing in front of you wondering, how will these kind of cuts directly impact my student? And I know you may not be able to answer that, but I always encourage our leaders to take their decision-making very seriously, that every decision you make affects 8 generations out. It affects this student tomorrow, the next day, next year. It affects whether my son has a job in this town in the future. It affects if my son has people to support him and take care of him. I can tell you without a doubt that the Paris staff at Mountain View that works with my son, if something happened to me, God forbid tomorrow I was hit by a bus, they would be the people that would wrap their arms around my husband and my family and support them through it. Because raising someone with profound disabilities is a lifelong commitment, and you ask your community to commit with you. And I hold my hands up to our educators, our paratechs and Indian Ed, the things they do every day. I hear about the bullying. I hear about the problems, but the staff isn't blind. They are trying. But we just talked about the mental health piece of this. It is an unmet necessity that we can't cover. And I realize that our staff is doing everything they can, and they can't stand to lose anyone else. My son can't stand to lose anyone else.
That's time. Thank you.
Thank you.
William Sullivan.
Hi, my name is William Sullivan. I'm here to talk to you about the budget cuts because my understanding is that people at the top have been getting raises, and they've been getting gas stipends when they're making $300,000 a year. And we're talking about letting people go, and we're paying for people's gas that make $300,000 a year. I don't think anyone making $300,000 a year needs extra money for your gas. And if you do, you need to start looking at how you're spending your money and start budgeting your own money, because $300,000 a year is a lot of money. Anyways, you don't start at the bottom, you start at the top. So how about some of the top people who make the top money? How much do some of you guys make? Why don't we start taking percentages off the top instead of firing people at the bottom? We can take 10% off the top of all of the top earners of the school district and retain our staff. We can take superintendent cuts. We take about $50,000, $100,000 off our superintendent. You'll live, you'll toughen up. You know what, we'll judge you by your performance. When our school district isn't ranked 25% in Washington State, we can start talking about raises. When Washington State as a whole isn't doing so horrible, when buses start picking up kids in the morning, when my daughter doesn't come home from Bordeaux school saying she wishes her skin was brown, she wishes she wasn't white because the kids are calling her white girl, when you guys start fixing this bull crap, we can start talking about raises. I'm pulling my girls out next year. That's 3 more students gone. And a bunch more parents are doing the same. I suggest you guys get this figured out, because our president is going to get it figured out. And he said he's going to give the power back to the parents and give us $10,000 for our kids, and we can pick the schools, and we can homeschool them, and we'll take that $10,000 and we'll spend it appropriately where you have misappropriated our funds.
Lori Chappell.
Good evening. I want to acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Squaxin Island people. I am the native ed paratech for Olympic Middle School. I understand that people have different experiences, and I don't ever want to in any way negate what someone is feeling or what they're doing. But today, I'd like to talk about some positive things. And as we navigate through the period of uncertainty, I want to take a moment to highlight some positive aspects of work being done every day in the Shelton School District and at Olympic Middle School. While it is true that our certificated and classified staff are struggling with the challenges of the position reductions and the loss of many talented educators, I believe it's essential to ground ourselves in this moment and look at some of the things that these people have been doing. I have the unique privilege of working directly with both staff and students every day. I witness firsthand the transformative work happening in our classrooms. Tonight, I would like to spotlight one of our new educators, Natalie Scott. She is a first-year teacher at Olympic Middle School. Natalie's journey into education is remarkable. She graduated from Spokane Community College at 17 with a degree in mathematics, going on to earn her teaching certificate from Whitworth University by 19, hired last spring at the age of 20 by the Shelton School District. She comes from a very big family. She uprooted her life and came here to teach. She earned her master's degree this past winter by the age of 21. Wow, what an accomplishment for a young person. Thank you, hiring team. Natalie is one of the amazing sixth grade teachers who teaches ELA and social studies at our school. Working alongside Natalie, I've seen her unwavering dedication to her students. She creates meaningful connections and fosters a culture of care, respect, and academic rigor in her classroom. One of the most inspiring moments came last week. A student who we both support and who has historically struggled with reading proudly shared with me that they had gone up 31 points on their MAP reading assessment. I was so excited for our student. When I shared this with Ms. Scott, she beamed with pride and told me that 75% of her students had shown growth from fall to winter. This success is a testament to Natalie's effective, high-quality instruction and her commitment to meeting every student's needs. While tonight I highlight Ms. Scott, I could stand here and tell many stories about so many of our staff at OMS, and many of whom also new to the teaching profession, and many stories of our students who have shown incredible growth this year. These stories remind us why we do this work and why we must continue to support the amazing educators who are shaping the future of our students. I'm sorry, as we move forward during these emotional and challenging times, we must stay focused on all of the incredible work being done across our district. Our students count on us and we count on them. The dedication of educators
Ms.
like
Chappell.
Natalie Scott and our entire staff and single member at OMS and countless across the district is the heart of what makes this district.
Thank you. Bob Rogers?
Evening, Board. Thank you, Chair Wiehlander, for the opportunity to speak. My name is Bob Rogers, 229 West Wyandotte in Shelton for a few more days. We will be moving to Lewiston, and I want to make clear the only reason I'm here and the only reason almost anyone comes to this podium is to improve our community, and we're thinking about the children in the Shelton School District where our son graduated from many years ago. That's the only reason I'm here. I wasn't planning to be here. I've communicated with the board many times in the past, specifically about the district's budget, district accountability, and evaluation of the superintendent. It is sad to say I come before you tonight again to address those same issues. First, I hope the board has independently researched the recent exodus of many individuals in the district's finance department. In private industry where I grew up in, this exodus would be a huge red flag for the board of directors and external auditors. Second, I hope the board is now seriously consider taking their role evaluating your only employee, the superintendent. That, along with reviewing and approving the budget, is your primary responsibility to the voters. You have failed in both of these responsibilities in the past. As a past elected official, I appreciate the role the school board director has, and each of you have taken sacrifices to be on the board. However, if you cannot perform the core responsibilities of the position, then please resign. Thank you.
Marilyn Aaron.
Good evening. I had a different version of this, but after I read it to my husband, he assured me that it wouldn't get my point across by doing that, so I created a better one. Many of us in the community have voiced our concerns repeatedly, and yet we feel unheard. The time has come for this board to rise and fulfill the responsibilities you were elected to carry out. The challenges facing our district are significant, and it's critical that you work together with the community to address them with urgency and transparency. Wyeth, there are widespread concerns about your leadership and its impact on our district and our schools. We need a superintendent who listens to the community and takes decisive action to address the pressing issues our students and staff face. We also need a superintendent who's willing to communicate. You do not meet any of that. Board members, you were elected to serve our district and advocate for our children, our staff, and our community. This means asking tough questions, holding each other accountable, and pushing back when necessary. Becky, I want to thank you for being a voice of reason and showing a willingness to challenge the status quo. To the rest of the board, I urge you to step up. This is not a time to remain silent or passive. Tonight, you have a mid-year review on the agenda. This is a perfect opportunity to reflect on the concerns that have been consistently brought to your attention by the community since at least June. This review should not be a routine check-the-box exercise. It should be a moment to take an honest look at the issues we've raised, the progress, or lack thereof, made in addressing them, and the actionable steps needed moving forward. Ignoring these concerns or sweeping them under the rug is no longer an option. We need leadership that prioritizes action over ego and results over complacency. You have an opportunity to make a real difference, but it requires stepping out of your comfort zones and tackling these issues head on. The public has entrusted you with the responsibility to lead and to act in the best interest of our district. Show us that you take that responsibility seriously by acknowledging the challenges and presenting tangible solutions. Show us that you are worth the votes you received. The community is watching, and our expectations are clear. It is time that you do what you were elected to do, serve the best interests of our students, staff, community, and schools.
Did anybody show up after the meeting started? Anybody? Okay. Item number 6, reports and recognition. We'll start first with Kaylee Allen from Choice.
On Friday this week, we're going to have our monthly awards assembly where we recognize all the students who've made adequate progress, and they'll be rewarded with an award. And then our ASB officers and class representatives recently held a meeting this morning where we planned out a game we would play at our awards assembly. We're going to do a rock, paper, scissors tournament, and we'll have 2 students from each advisory come up and compete, and there will be a prize, at least as far as I know. And on top of that, the advisory that does win overall will get an ice cream party. And then we are currently have a partnership with the Shelton Youth Connection. That they come in once a week and play games with some of our students during lunchtime, and they also have, like, if you go to the recreational center where their place, they have like clothing for those. So if you don't have it, they have just like a place where you can feel comfortable maybe if you don't have that elsewhere. And then at the end of the month, we'll be hosting our ASVAB test for all students who want to take it, even if you don't necessarily want to join the military. Our our counselor, Mr. Budge, does advise all students to just take it just to see where your skills are.
Thank you. Abigail Hurst from Shelton High School.
This week we have lots of sporting events going on. Tonight we are hosting our senior night swim meet along with boys basketball against Centralia. Dance team recently improved their score by 20 points at their Kent Lake competition. Our arm drill team still remains undefeated, placing first once again. January 9th, we held a Women in Welding workshop for 8th and 9th grade students. Cheer recently held their mini cheer camps. Dance team's winter dance camp is coming up from the 20th to the 24th. And we held a successful winter assembly, and now we're on to planning the staff versus student basketball game.
Who do you think is going to win?
I think it's going to be the either 30th or 31st of this month. One or the other.
Okay. Item number 7, the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Discussion and action items. This will be the 8.01 proposed revised policy 6605, student safety, walking, biking, and riding buses. This will be the second reading and recommended approval. Robert Herron.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, and esteemed members of the board, thank you this evening for allowing me to come forward and present to you the second reading of proposed board policy 6605 and its procedure for student safety, walking, and biking, and riding buses. And so the revisions were presented in the first reading in our last school board meeting, and these are, as discussed last time, largely driven by WASDA revisions and also for consistency to align with state law revisions as well as our own policies. And so I would request adoption and the resolution to approve.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I would take a motion.
I motion to approve the proposed revised policy number 6605, student safety, walking, biking, and riding buses.
I second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Proposed new policy 3141, non-resident students. This would be the second reading. Tara Richardson.
Good evening, directors. This is the second reading for policy 3141, which governs how we accept students from outside our district transferring into our district. So at most of our elementaries and middle schools, again, this could be students from Pioneer, Hood Canal, in the area, so forth. At the high school, we typically see students from Olympia, Elma, and North Mason who transfer in.
I think you did a fantastic job on this. Thank you very much for all the time it took to put this together.
Thank you.
Did anybody have any questions? Okay, I would take a motion.
I motion to approve the proposed new policy number 3141, non-resident students.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next will be the first reading. This will be proposed policy 8.0. Oh, it's not got it. Proposed policy 3140, student residency. This will be the first reading and discussion.
Yes. So you may remember at the last time I presented, I kind of mentioned to you that we'd be bringing some additional policies. all of these policies are around student enrollment and student transfers either into the district, around the district, or out of the district. And very similar to what Mr. Herron just shared, one of the purposes behind this is really to bring our district into alignment with current legislation and WASDA policies. You may notice in some of the first drafts here that there's a lot of strikeout language. We used to have all of these different enrollment and transfer pieces in one policy, and so this is sort of teasing it out into different spaces so that families in the community can more easily also find what it is that they need depending upon how they would like to enroll their student and where they would like to enroll their student. So for policy 3140, it's really about who we accept and then when we release students to attend in another district. So if they choice transfer out for some reason. And then one of the biggest things that we've added will actually be part of the next one is when students move out of country as well. But this first policy is really just about students who choose to attend elsewhere. So they live in our district and for whatever reason, they're going to attend a different school.
I don't have any questions at this point. Does anybody? Okay. See it in a couple of weeks. Yep, and then proposed new policy 3131. This will be transfers since, again, a first reading.
Yes, but wait, there's more. So for 3131, this is for district attendance area transfers. So these are our students who want to attend a school in the district where they're not zoned for. In our district, even though there's language in here about high school and WIAA, right now, our district area transfers really only happen for elementary students because we have multiple elementary schools. And so even though we have multiple high schools, our programs at Cedar and Choice have different entrance requirements. So students do not have to transfer to go there per se. So this really mostly applies at the elementary area. And so if there's students who attend Bordeaux, for example, and would prefer to go to Evergreen, this is how this process would work. You may have noticed that whether or not students are accepted and so forth, it mirrors very similar to the non-resident enrolled in. So it's a very similar process there. At the end of the policy, we've added a little bit there about transferring outside of the district if you go back to a home country. The reason that we have this in there is really about the state auditor. There is a state law, so there is an RCW that actually has this language in it. We have accepted student or affidavits when students have transferred out of country, when a family tells us, for example, that they're going to move back to Guatemala or Mexico, someplace where there's not going to be a records request. However, the state auditor wants us to have it very clear in the policy, and so we've made sure to ensure that that's in there so that we don't get a finding next time that they visit.
Good job on both. Very well done. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is a first reading, so we get a chance to take a closer look, and if we have any questions in the meantime, we can bring those up before the second reading.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 8.05, proposed resolution 25-01, authorized reduction in force. Clinton Sherman.
Good evening, directors. We have drafted a resolution that is one part of a larger strategy to reduce our expenditures and get our balance of our ending fund balance to a positive at the end of this year after ending a deficit last year. I'm sure most folks have had a chance to read through it. It's unfortunately the hardest part of the plan, to be honest with you. There's a lot of reductions that are that are a lot easier to do, but unfortunately where we're at now, the reality situation is without this, we won't be able to get there. So, do you have questions?
So I was surprised to see this on our agenda because I assumed the board would talk about it first. That didn't happen. I'm not clearly convinced on the reason for the budget deficit. I too, with people resigning or retiring from the finance office, see red flags. My opinion.
I would like to ask, what is the dollar amount target that we're looking for from this proposed reduction
Yeah, for
in
the
force?
24-25 year, it's $750,000, $750,000.
And it's my understanding that in a public meeting like this, we don't talk about positions or actual people that are particular in this. It's more that we are being given a target amount because that's personnel information.
That's correct.
Okay.
I think a question I'd have if I was in the public as well is here's a reduction. Should we anticipate this again in 6 months, in a year, as we look forward?
Yeah, so as we've discussed since November, I guess, since I've arrived, we ended this last year in a negative fund balance. So the real goal and push is to get to a positive imbalance here. But a positive fund balance of even $1 million, the board policy is I think it's 4% now. And so that's not $1 million. So yes, we would anticipate more reductions in the next year. There wouldn't be any more reductions in force for this school year. But for next year, as we start that budget cycle, what this resolution does is allow us to do that work and that planning to see what that looks like.
I've also been asked because, you know, I watched the last meeting. I appreciated what you said. We're not trying to make a massive cut all at once because that does impact our students. And so we're, like you said, this is the first part in a bigger strategy. Because the concern is that we do, I mean, we're already, as we've talked about, the prototypical model does not fund in what I believe the amount of services that our students do need. I've got 2 students in the school district. This concerns me very much. And so, you know, I don't take this lightly at all. This is, and I know no one does that's dealing with this, but it is, I want to make sure I'm understanding that this is a first part of the process, and then this is going to go into budgetary planning
That's
for
correct.
next year.
That is correct.
We're meeting the state requirement of needing to complete the school year in our positive fund balance, with the planning being that next year will be a tight year, but we should not have to do this again, and we can build towards not doing this again.
Okay. I'm just generally unhappy about the whole thing and have a lot to say about it. But at this point, I would take a motion for the proposed resolution 2501.
I motion to approve the proposed resolution number 2501, authorizing a reduction in force.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. It passes. Okay, and that brings us up to item number 9, the annual reorganization of the board. Okay, 9.01 be election of chairman. Take any nominations for this.
I would like to nominate you, Director Welander. I appreciate what you've done in this last year in some difficult times, and if you are willing to continue in that role for continuity, I would like to nominate you.
I would accept. Any other nominations?
I second Carrie.
No other nominations, I would, I guess, ask for a vote. All in favor? Yeah, I think it's a roll call vote on this. James? Roll call vote?
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Item number 902, election of the vice chair.
I recommend Carrie continue also in position of vice chairman.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote again. James?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Abstain.
And aye. And the nominations for the elected, the legislative representative.
I would like to nominate Lauren as our legislative representative. She's done an excellent job this year and has quite the pulse on what's going on in Olympia. So I appreciate the work you've done if you'll accept this nomination.
I would second that. Are there any other nominations? Okay, roll call vote. James?
Aye.
Peggy?
Yes.
Lauren?
Abstain.
Aye.
And aye. Which, by the way, brings us up to item number 10, the legislative update.
Yes, thank you. I definitely would have fought one of my board members for this position out here today, so. Legislative session in Washington State is upon us. It's the best season of the year. It started yesterday. It's a long session. It'll run through April. So far this week, there's been some filings, but a lot of the public hearings, movement in the committees and things aren't happening until later in the week, so there'll be greater updates on exactly what's going on with education bills. Soon at the next meeting, there should be some more updates. So I thought I'd go over the Washington State school directors' key priorities and kind of show how some of those key priorities are feeding into outcomes in school districts, including our own, and the bills to kind of combat issues that we're facing, since we're not the only school district alone in our RIF and in our struggles for funding. So some things I missed, there's 22 new legislators and the new governor. There is a budget shortfall, but education is still up there and still one of the incoming governor's main priorities. First off is a priority for special education funding. There are shortfalls and impacts on all students, and they're underfunded and underserved. The second priority is materials, supplies, and operation costs, MSOC. The inflation has caused materials to be priced out of reach. Third is loss of vital staff. due to the outdated prototypical model forcing deep cuts. Fourth is transportation funding. The formula is out of date, and we're not the only district with stranded students. And finally, there's a focus on financial literacy. So far, some of the bills that I was looking at that have members of our education boards and more than one sponsor on them are House Bill 1032, which is concerning school district elections. This would change the authority to validate indebtedness from 3/5 to a majority vote. Senate Bill 5095 is also related to this, but for construction, school districts may issue bonds up to a total value of 0.375% of taxable property in the district on our own. And House Bill 1120, which is updating the state allocations for schools. This has increased to the staff salaries from 2018-2019 to match current. It looked like the base went from around 47 to 63. So that would help alleviate some of those costs also. I'm really excited about this, and representatives know that we're struggling, and I just want to remind that every voice matters, and you can attend the public hearings, and you can also speak and point people back to our school funding page. Wyeth and Clinton have set up a very nice budget information page, and I also encourage all of you, if you haven't seen it, to look at it and just help spread the correct information so that we can make sure our students and our families are hearing the right thing and getting the things that they need.
Thank you. A quick reminder to tag onto that. Education is a constitutional requirement to provide public education, and your local representatives are Griffey, Couture, and McEwen. They're all easy to reach, and would love to hear from you. Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to board member comments, and we'll start on the end. James.
I guess I would say that's a tough vote and a tough season in this district, and I take it seriously. We all take it seriously. I have family members work here. I have friends that work here. So that's not done without a lot of consideration. And here's what I'd say. I hear a lot of voices, and I appreciate every time somebody comes up and talks to me and shares their concerns. I think all of us do. So please keep communicating with your school board directors. I know I read every single one of those emails. There's a path forward, but it's going to take a while. And I want to come back to what's positive. We have amazing teachers. We have amazing educators. Walk around and see what's happening, and there's a lot of good things happening in this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Cronquist. Okay. Director Gilmore.
Thank you for being here with us tonight, and I hope to see you again in the future as we expand on the first steps we've made tonight to, getting on the positive side of things.
And Director Davison.
Yeah, thank you all for attending tonight. It is a difficult time, and it's complicated, I think, because it's also wonderful to have the student from Choice come up and speak as well as he did, and hear from community members about how wonderful paraeducators are to their children's needs within the school district. There's a lot of wonderful things. I have 2 kids in the school district and know many families that go in this school district. I hear wonderful things going on all of the time. But this is a challenging time too, and like I said, I do not take it lightly. I recently went through reductions within my own company, and it is a stressful and uncertain time. And when you watch people and you know that that's going to affect them, it is very, very difficult. And I've had to do this before on the school board, and it never feels good. It is never easy. We lose sleep over this. And I know many people don't always understand that as school board directors, we do not get paid anything for this. We do this because we care about our community and we do care about students. And I know we don't always make everybody happy, and it is a difficult job at times. It's a wonderful job at times, and then there are times when it is very difficult. One thing I do want to highlight that is very positive is that over the weekend there was a community group called Fill the Truck. They were outside of Fred Meyer, and they specifically were shopping for things for our students in our school district, and they received a lot of community support, and they distributed those items to all of the schools. And I just want to thank the people that put their own time and effort into doing that and in raising those things to help our students, because we do have a great community. It's my concern when we have to go through something like a reduction in force that impacts our community. But as you said, Director Dale, we are here to come together and find a path forward and help support each other as well. Thank you.
Lastly, even though it's still wintertime, kids are starting to get accepted to colleges out there. Already starting to see a bunch of it. One of my own got accepted already this year. Abigail, go Cougs. Also, nice job to the ROTC, still undefeated. Wrestling, bowling, welding, everybody out there is doing super well as far as all that goes. As far as the budget and anything, I am personally sorry to any of those that were impacted. This was crushing. I really hoped we would avoid it, and we weren't able to. At this time, we do have to go to an exempt session, 12.01 for the superintendent mid-year evaluation discussion. We'll probably be there about an hour, and then we'll come back to adjourn. There won't be any action, so you can stick around if you want, but it'll be about an hour.